The following program is presented by the HTM Podcast Network.
Welcome to another episode of Turnbuckle Talk in partnership with thechairshot.com, presented by the Hitting the Marks Podcast Network and in association with NDPW.com. Turnbuckle Talk is sponsored by collarandelbowbrand.com, where you get 10% off when using promo code JKPodcast. Turnbuckle Talk is also partnered with Phoenix at FNXFit.com, where you get 15% off all your health supplements simply by using promo code TBTalkPod. Follow the show on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter by searching at TB Talk Pod. Listen on Podbean, iTunes, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and everywhere you catch your favorite programs. And now, pro wrestling fanatics, are you ready? Here are your hosts, Mighty Joe Morin and Karl Karufel.
I am Karl Karufel, and I'm joined, as always, by Mighty Joe Morin. My goodness, every time that I hear that intro from Rick, it just pumps me up.
Right.
It just pumps me up for another amazing episode of Turnbuckle Talk. Mighty Joe, it has been quite a week this last week for pro wrestling. You came up with some amazing stuff for us to talk about this week, and I am super excited.
Yeah, absolutely. And even something, just developments over the last day or so that we'll get to in our breaking news segment. I don't want to give too much away just yet, but it is pretty significant news if you're a fan of the big three letters in the United States. So, but we will get to that. But to kind of kick off the episode here today, Karl, this was a pretty significant thing that happened here. I'm just looking for the photograph here. We're talking about Mr. Larry King at the age of 87 years old, passing away. This man, I mean, when it comes to people in broadcasting, when it comes to doing interviews, you can't not think of this man. I mean, he has literally interviewed anybody that can be interviewed. He is one of the best at that and just being a broadcaster and somebody that people like ourselves and anybody who sits behind a microphone kind of, Larry King was the man, so to speak. But all I can say,
he was. And I mean, this is a heartbreak for a lot of broadcasters. Larry King, I mean, the guy never stopped. Even when he stopped being on broadcast television doing Larry King Live, he started his own online as well and continued to do things in broadcasting. I mean, it was just inside of his blood, just like it is for a lot of us. And very, very unfortunate circumstances and an unfortunate passing, especially for broadcasters such as ourselves.
Yeah, and you can see from the photo, I mean, he was a fan of professional wrestling as well. It appeared, I believe, more than a few times on their programming. And, when it comes to, and maybe it was some of the pro wrestling stuff kind of rubbing off. I won't play the video here, but I'll play a short clip. He was actually interviewing DJ Khaled, and I'll just play it and we'll talk about it here.
Watch. I want to stay fresh. I want to stay clean. You know what I'm saying? There's nothing wrong with that. You should strive for greatness.
How did you gain all the weight?
Just the stuff like that. I mean, just it's like a little bit of heel professional wrestling rubbed off with Larry King. Damn. I mean, like I said, even just outside of the pro wrestling context, when it comes to broadcasting, I mean, this is who you kind of most of us model ourselves after. I mean,
exactly.
I can't think of any celebrity that the guy hasn't talked to. Like, it's insane.
He's talked to absolutely everybody. I mean, I think short of Turnbuckle Talk being on his program, he's talked to everybody.
Yeah.
He really has.
Oh yeah, for sure. And of course, famously known to married multiple times. But I mean, he was the kind of guy that he always needed that partner at his side. And I believe until his death, he was married. So, but yeah, it's a sad day for broadcasters to see Mr. Larry King go away. But it'll definitely be fondly remembered. I mean, you can go on YouTube and you can watch most of these interviews and stuff that he's done. It's a pretty incredible body of work that he has.
Definitely.
That we'll always be talking about. Now, going from that to some actual wrestling discussion here, Karl, and this is an interesting development here coming out of Impact Wrestling. We're talking about Miss Taya Valkyrie, and her time in Impact Wrestling has come to an end here, Karl. And it's interesting because now, of course, the discussions start. Where does she go? Now, I'll throw this over to you, and what do you think? Where does Miss Taya Valkyrie end up?
Somehow, some way, WWE.
Yeah.
Just to be over there with her husband. I think that's probably the best bet. But again, is WWE in a position to really be doing any hiring and bringing people in, considering all of the names that they had let go at the start of this whole pandemic that happened? So I mean, if that is not an option, then I could see her going somewhere Lucha Libre, so maybe to like AAA or something like that. Maybe even like an MLW or to an NWA, even like somewhere in that type of an area. I don't think that if she's not able to get onto the WWE television programming and payroll, I think that it's going to be a smaller promotion that she goes to maybe help build up that promotion a little bit with who she is.
It's definitely interesting, and I think given that her husband is in WWE, I can definitely see her going over there. And of course, we're coming up to Royal Rumble season here, Karl, and now we have a Women's Royal Rumble. I mean, she's obviously got to be on their radar, and it would be a very interesting thing happening here, because I think that we're also going to I forget if I've mentioned on this program yet, but I know I've mentioned it over with our friends over at Love Wrestling, that we might see another big debut in the Women's Royal Rumble. And I think not only will we see Taya Valkyrie, I think we're going to see Tessa Blanchard there as well. So it's interesting because in the way that this is being kind of done, with no audience, there's probably not a whole lot of the stuff that's going to get kind of leaked out. So we could see, not only in this Women's Rumble, I know we're eventually slightly off topic here, but I think it's still important to touch on. I think we could see some legitimate surprises coming out of not only the Women's Royal Rumble, but the Men's Royal Rumble as well.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a possibility that we're going to see some great surprises coming out of the Rumble. And to see Taya Valkyrie go over there and debut in the Women's Royal Rumble, I definitely could see that. Yep. This would be the opportune way for the WWE to bring her in. Yep. Just because, like we've talked about, right? Like the WWE let go of a lot of people over this past year because of this COVID pandemic. So you want to bring somebody in? Here's the way to do it. And really, there can't be any hurt feelings, or nobody can be butthurt over it because, well, she's just a new talent and we need to show everyone, right?
I'm interested. I'm intrigued to see her over there because, outside of Nia Jax, Karl, we don't have too many of the kind of the bigger girls over there. So, I mean, she'd be a perfect fit and to kind of mix it up a little bit. Even just physical stature-wise, she would be unique over there. So I'm intrigued, and I'm typically I wouldn't say it, but I would actually like to kind of see her in WWE and to see what she can do there. And she'll be, of course, closer to her husband there. And and just briefly too on the men's side of things, I mean, just my dream scenario is for like Finn Balor and maybe Adam Cole to be in the ring at the same time, and then to have Marty come out. I mean, wow, that would be pretty fantastic, right?
Yes, it would.
I would definitely mark out pretty hard for that, so to speak. So yeah, it'll be interesting. That the women's Royal Rumble, I think, is the one that's going to be very intriguing this year, and I'm hoping outside of those two to maybe see some. Who else do you think on the women's side do you think could be a legitimate surprise to come into this match, Karl?
Honestly, there really isn't a lot of names.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I mean, unless they kind of just take some from NXT. Just as a filler type of thing. But I mean, really, there isn't a lot of independents that are really available right now, I guess you could say. No, I shouldn't say that. There's lots of independent talent that's available, but no mainstream independent talent that's really available, minus Tessa and Taya right now, right? I mean, maybe we can see somebody, kind of going over with Taya. Like, I mean, who is it? Rebel. They have Rebel with Taya Valkyrie over in Impact. And I mean, if Taya is gone, where does that leave Rebel? Right? Rebel was like by your side type of thing, right? And I mean, so I don't know. I don't know.
What about for a legend or two on the women's side? Who do you think that who would you pop pretty hard for?
Oh, always, anytime I would pop for Lita, 100%. Molly Holly, I would pop for as well. Trish is another one that I would pop for. I mean those are the big ones that I would definitely be. Oh yes.
What about the? I think it would be, well, I guess in her physical stature-wise, a small surprise. What about the wife of Mr. CM Punk, AJ Lee?
You see, she's been out of the game so long that it's not even on my radar, to be honest.
That's why I have a feeling, because I mean, there's of course always going to be the speculation that he's going to be there as well. So I mean. She would, I think, get a pretty large, well, here I am thinking like there's going to be a crowd there reaction-wise, but I mean, for us watching, I think that she would get quite the reception.
Yeah, you're right. She definitely would.
Because she was extremely popular for a good portion of time there, so that's somebody that I would like to see, even if it is just a one-off. Because
it would be cool.
Because AJ Lee, I thought, was always very underrated in the WWE.
Oh yeah, she definitely was.
Yeah,
definitely.
All right, man. Let us shift over to something a little bit different here. This is actually coming courtesy of our friends over at Sportskeeda and our friend Mr. Ryan K. Boman, and he did a very interesting article here over this past week, Karl, about ranking the top 5 wrestling promotions in North America, to specify there in North America. And so I thought we'd kind of discuss this a little bit and kind of go through that top 5. And surprise, surprise, who's at the top?
Of course. I mean, it's the conglomerate, right? Yeah. Like, I mean, you can't say professional wrestling, right, without somebody automatically thinking WWE. That's what people think of all the time. Still, unfortunately. Will that change? Yeah, I definitely think that's going to change. But as of right now, yeah, WWE is what everyone thinks.
Yep, even in Ryan's article here, I'll read a brief snippet of here. Vince McMahon's pro wrestling empire has reached levels that no other federation could ever possibly attain, despite a declining trend in interest and ratings. Even when they are down, the drawing power and marketing attention that the letters WWE attract will likely never be matched in the history of this business again. And I think that's very well worded, and is definitely still the case, like Mr. Ryan K. Boman said, despite the negativity going on right now, when it comes to ratings, when it comes to some storylines and whatnot. So, it's WWE still at the top.
Oh, yeah.
For the time being.
Yeah, they definitely are.
And going from that to number 2 is AEW. And I'll let you talk a little bit about what you think about AEW and why they are arguably number 2 right now.
Right now, I mean, in the latter part of 2020, they really became much bigger, and I think that the reason for that is one, just some names that they've brought in, recognizable names from past years and past companies, right? So I mean, you're talking like Jericho, right? He's a recognizable name when it comes to professional wrestling. Sting, Taz, Jim Ross, right? Like, these are all recognizable names, which were fantastic.
Yep.
But what they've started doing at the end of 2020 with their collaborations between companies, namely Impact Wrestling right now, has been fantastic, and people are really starting to come on to all of this and really gain an interest within it again. And I mean, we're kind of even sort of seeing little rumblings from New Japan as well when it comes to some of the stars over there, talking about like the Bullet Club over there, and people talking about, the Bullet Club is reforming here over in North America, right? And I mean, like, it's I mean, that's kind of what's rumblings right now. And but I think that's the reason why that they have, like, just they're number 2. They definitely are.
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely hard to argue with that. And next up, sitting at number 3, I guess you could arguably say, piggybacking off of the success of AEW and this partnership definitely paying off, and this company's definitely really benefited from it, is Impact Wrestling. And I've even, there was a significant gap, amount of time there where I wasn't really watching Impact and all. No, you were still keeping tabs on them, but, with watching Ring of Honor, New Japan, and some other stuff for our friends over at OVW, just Impact just wasn't making it onto my weekly watching, but now I'm paying attention again, and this partnership with other promotions has really benefited them at a very opportune time for them.
It definitely has, and while we're talking about Impact Wrestling for a moment, I do have to correct myself. We're talking about, we talked earlier about Rebel. It wasn't Rebel that was actually with Taya Valkyrie. With Taya Valkyrie, it was more like Sue Young,
right?
That was kind of working with her for a bit, which I don't know her contract status, right? No. But Impact Wrestling is really starting to become almost a household name once again, which I'm happy about, because I have been very fantastic in pushing for people to watch Impact Wrestling. I even saw on social media after this last pay-per-view that Impact Wrestling did, people were like, I haven't watched Impact in like 5 to 10 years, and this has drawn me back in, right? So clearly they are doing something right. Anyone that listened to the broadcast a little bit earlier, I just want to make sure that everybody knows that, yes, I have corrected myself, and I do apologize for that. I was completely wrong when I was talking about Taya earlier, and I've corrected myself.
Yeah, that's why we're 203 episodes in and still going, because we can pick up on this stuff on the fly usually, and if not, we'll recognize it and listening back, and we usually address it in the following week. Right. But yeah, man, with Impact Wrestling, it's they seem to kind of ride waves of success, and then they have a down moment, and then they emerge again, and hopefully this time, they can kind of maintain for a longer period of time, because they put on arguably a very great product that I think goes unnoticed by a lot of wrestling fans out there. So check out Impact Wrestling if you haven't in a long time, and I think you'll be pleasantly surprised at what you find there. Now, going from that to one of my favorite companies, Karl, we're talking ROH Ring of Honor. For those who have been following our podcast for a number of episodes will know that in 2019, I named them my favorite promotion of the year. They're a company, Karl, that has really suffered because of the pandemic with COVID-19. Because they chose to essentially not do anything for a good portion of time, still keeping all their talent on hand and still keeping them on the payroll. Props to them for that. But yeah, they're a company that's still one of the top promotions, but has really, really suffered through the pandemic. And I'm hoping that they can bounce back without losing too much of their talent. That's what I'm afraid of.
Yeah, and you know that kind of is a concern of mine as well. I really hope that they're not going to because of this. I think that they're doing a fantastic job. Sinclair Broadcasting doing a fantastic job in keeping these guys and girls on payroll and keeping them employed, even through this entire thing that's really happened. Our friend Ryan Boman from Sportskeeda in this article writes, just a few years ago, Ring of Honor was the clear-cut number 2 to WWE based on the incredible matches they were producing and the wealth of talent they had on their roster at the time. Then with the launch of All Elite Wrestling and an exodus of talent from WWE to AEW, the Sinclair Broadcasting-owned promotion has been scrambling to reach similar heights compared to their glory days, which fantastically written, and yes, very much so true, unfortunately. Sometimes competition is good, sometimes competition can hurt as well.
And Sinclair, I think, has kind of unfairly been kind of villainized quite often in this. People seem to think that ROH that they're like slaves to this big company. I guess you could make that argument to some extent, but through this, just given the money that they have access to, I'm very grateful for them because they've kept this company alive and still managed to pay everybody. Different scenarios, if they weren't under the Sinclair umbrella, we might not be sitting here even talking about Ring of Honor. So I have to give some great appreciation to the folks over at Sinclair.
Definitely.
And Karl, to round up our top 5, we have a bit of a surprising one, and a company that I am still, in full transparency, I don't watch much Major League Wrestling, and I should be, because they put on some good shows, Karl, and they have some good. They don't have a huge talent pool over there, but the few that they do have near the top there are pretty damn good. And this is a company that's just like, it's just on the verge of kind of really breaking into that mainstream consciousness, and it's something that fans need to check out. You just need to check out Major League Wrestling.
Yeah, definitely they do, and I mean, I'm sure that this final pick was probably a difficult one for Ryan to really choose, because, I mean, even just looking at the screen that we have up here, right? So like I'm already seeing OVW is on there, right? NWA is on there, and one that's not on there is Championship Wrestling from Hollywood, right? So, John, right now what we're talking about is our friend Ryan K. Boman of Sportskeeda put out a ranking list of what he thinks were the top 5 wrestling promotions in North America. We ran down the list of starting at WWE, down to Ring of Honor, down to AEW, Impact, and now Ryan believes that MLW, Major League Wrestling, is. For me, this would have been a very, very hard pick. I think I would have probably done like a 3 or 4-way tie for that 5th spot, because just those ones that I mentioned, MLW, OVW, the NWA, and what NWA has been seemingly doing with Championship Wrestling from Hollywood is fantastic as well. So, I mean, that's really hard. I might have to message Ryan and find out why he chose MLW as the 5th.
For sure. And you had mentioned Championship Wrestling from Hollywood, absolutely fantastic there as well. And to go through some other names, haven't mentioned House of Hardcore on here, of course, New Japan. We're talking outside of North America. PWG, one that's not on here, Women of Wrestling, our friends over at OVW, CMLL. Stardom is a big one that you guys need to check out. I mean, the majority of these companies here, Karl, and our listeners and viewers, you're going to find some enjoyment. You're going to find some good wrestling, regardless of where you go. And
what's nice is that a majority of these, you can find them on YouTube.
Even better.
Right? They put the product out there for free. Yep. And speaking of putting products out there for free, watch, because I think our friend Kim over at Ignite Wrestling, she just had an event. She might put that out there for everyone to see, and I really hope she does, because one of my favorites, independent stars right now, the Dream Girl Ellie, was on that card. So I would be very interested in being able to see at least that match, at least that one.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, our friend Kim Artlip as well. She puts on fantastic shows, usually about 4 times a year with Ignite Wrestling, and there is Ignite Wrestling content that's out there and available on YouTube as well. So yeah, it's fantastic what's out there.
Yep, absolutely. And Ryan here saying MLW is so legit and the roster is stacked. You would definitely be correct in that, sir.
Ryan said MLW is so legit.
There you go. Yep, definitely check out Major League Wrestling if you haven't had a chance to. Again, it's majority of it is free on YouTube, and you can't go wrong with that. All right, man, I think before we get to our next topic here, maybe we'll take a little bit of a break here. And, let's hear from our friends over at collarandelbowbrand.com.
Wrestling. A love and a passion we all share. I've started a wrestling brand. The wrestling brand. A brand founded on the aspects of wrestling. 2 entities working together to create a product that connect emotionally for people everywhere. Collar and Elbow is the brand. Passion and love for wrestling is the drive. I am Al Snow, and this is Collar and Elbow, the wrestling brand.
The dictionary defines hero as a person who is admired or idealized for courage, outstanding achievements, or noble qualities. Being a hero in life is far more than words printed on a page. It takes an unwavering code, a compass that points true north always. And in times like these, it takes sacrifice. Hero shouldn't be a word defined by a dictionary. It's a word that should be defined by the best of us. Hero has a new definition.
All right, Mighty Joe and Karl Karufel back here on Turnbuckle Talk, and you just heard from our friends over at collarandelbowbrand.com, where you can use promo code JKPodcast to get 10% off. Not just one thing you buy there or 2 things. Go there and buy 10 things. Go buy 20 things, and you get 10% off all of it. They have a tremendous amount of fantastic merchandise, including that thing on top of Karl's head right now.
That's right. The hat is available. They have different styles of hats that are available. They have different styles of shirts that are available. Sweatshirts, jackets, like a plethora of great merchandise for you. And if you're short on cash, go and check out that clearance section and pick out some stuff from the clearance section. And you can still use our 10% off JK Podcast at the checkout to get yourself an even better savings on top of the clearance merchandise. It's a win-win for everybody in that case. Go and check out collarandelbowbrand.com.
Absolutely. All right, man, let's talk about something. This is a topic that was a little surprising that I saw this seemingly kind of the case here, and it will actually tie in to a later segment in this episode here. But we are talking about Mr. Jon Moxley and him not ruling out a return to WWE. Karl has been quoted saying that he's not ruling this out. I was kind of shocked to kind of hear, just given the nature of how he kind of parted ways with the company beforehand. Never say never, right?
I think for him, what he had said essentially is, if they talk, I'll listen.
Yeah. Right.
And I mean, honestly, that is true Jon Moxley form.
Yep.
It 100% is. Of course, right? Like the guy's a nomad. That's what he is. He really is. I mean, he doesn't want or need to be tied down to one company. The guy can go to any company he damn well pleases and elevate that company and still keep his name And yeah, like that's what he is. He's a nomad.
Mm-hmm. And we have to remember the fact too that his wife Renee still works for the WWE technically.
Yes.
So that may very well eventually factor into the decision. You know, they have a child now, and she may want him closer to home more often. So
Soon.
yeah, that will definitely possibly factor into that situation. She might not want him always going over to Japan and all this kind of stuff, you know, and given what's kind of currently going on, you know, it's interesting to say the very least. And I mean, I don't think that we're gonna see it soon. Like I don't see him appearing at the Rumble by any means.
No,
but I mean,
no.
it would be a pretty large pop and a pretty large surprise to see him back on that WWE television.
It definitely would. I mean, that's something that everybody, I'm sure, would definitely pop for. It would be fantastic to see for those that are fans of Jon Moxley or of Dean Ambrose, as those who are only WWE marks will know him as. I'm going to read this comment out here from Ryan. It says, I wonder if he sees that the AEW business model, aka the VP's booking, isn't sustainable since he's working there.
Interesting.
You know what? Like, that's good mind. I hadn't thought about that. I really didn't. But that could very well be. I mean, it could be that because AEW has started out with the VPs of the company really not necessarily booking themselves into the best spots, but the VPs have really been getting good spots, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Moxley held that title for a while, and things were great. Everybody loved it. And then Kenny Omega, who as a part of the company, is now their champion, right? Which I'm not mad about. I definitely am not, but it could be something that kind of rubbed Moxley the wrong way.
Yeah, and this brings up the possible topic too of, you know, the famous expression wrestling of hot shot booking. You know, AEW definitely a little bit guilty of this. You know, doing a lot of pretty big kind of matches very early on in their existence, and Mr. Jon Moxley might just feel that, hey, maybe, you know, there isn't a whole lot of matchups left for me in this company, and maybe I need to consider going back elsewhere.
That could very well be the case. John, I fully agree with you here. Yeah, Jon Moxley is awesome.
Yes.
Dean Ambrose, he was good too, but Jon Moxley is freaking fantastic.
Oh, yeah. Especially when he decides to get full Jon Moxley and go full crazy, especially with guys like Minoru Suzuki and whatnot, and too many names to even think of. Sami Callihan, to go extreme with those kind of guys. I mean, that makes for some good watching.
Oh yeah, definitely it does.
So that would be my only concern with WWE, is that we'd be going back to the Dean Ambrose character and not really getting to be the Jon Moxley unless he really pushed for that, and Vince would be like, okay, and that would not be like very much like Vince McMahon would usually be.
No, definitely not. And I mean, really, the WWE really doesn't have a lot of like that hardcore stuff. I'm gonna go off onto a different little shoot topic here for a second.
Sure.
We have Drew McIntyre that's really thrown words with The Undertaker. The Undertaker has said that the WWE product lately has been soft. Now, I don't know if Mark was really meaning that the business itself has been soft, or if just kind of the work itself has been soft. If he's talking the work, he's definitely correct. It has been soft. Yeah. There really hasn't been very much hardcore or anything like that that's been happening or going on. I mean, short of the gimmick pay-per-views like TLC and stuff like that, right? But other than that, yeah, the WWE in-ring product is kind of soft and safe. As we've mentioned before, we've used that word safe quite a bit, and that's the way that it is. So yeah, I mean, Jon Moxley going over to the WWE again, wouldn't be a good fit.
Yeah.
If they were to throw a Dean Ambrose over there, even then, I think that it would more be like a watered down Dean Ambrose, because even Dean Ambrose was a little more high strung and a little more aggressive when he did things, right? And I think that, What's Ryan say there?
Yeah, says I think it's a product of our times. Too many people looking to get offended. That is absolutely true. And back briefly on the Undertaker. Not only about the product, him talking about things backstage as well. Basically calling them a bunch of softies and they're just playing video games and whatnot. So it's quite something, Karl, when one of your most loyal talents of all time is starting to criticize you. That should be a bit of a wake-up call to this company. And hey, you know what? We need to kind of get our ass in gear here, because one of our main guys is criticizing us now and kind of not necessarily making us look bad, but exposing some aspects of things. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that kind of plays out.
I can assure you that any time that I worked an independent event or independent show, there was never anybody in the back playing video games. We were back there, we were talking, we were learning, we were giving advice, we were giving the teachings. In my later years, I was giving the teachings to these younger guys coming in, having gotten lessons from, Bashing Booger, Mike Shaw, from Rick Steiner, from the Patriots, from Zach Gowen, for getting good things, great things. I've even talked with Jake the Snake and gotten some really great things from Jake. Yep. And being able to pass that on was fantastic for me. I loved it. But that's what it was. It was like a learning tree. It was like school. You went there, you sat in the back, you got dressed. As you were getting dressed and getting into your gear, you were listening to everybody talk.
Yeah.
Right? You were listening to the people talking. You were soaking it all in. You were understanding. And that's how it was. It wasn't sitting off in a corner playing video games or playing with your own self, trying to, do whatever you want. No, you were sitting there listening and learning. We have to put this one up here because I agree as well with John. John agrees with The Undertaker. Yep. Being somebody who was in the business, working inside of that ring, I agree with The Undertaker as well.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And like you had said, you nailed it too. Not backstage kind of messing around. We've got a show to put on. We need to make sure that we're doing things properly here. So that's another thing too, that this new crop of talent in the company just not quite getting that aspect of things. So yeah,
I think what it might be, though, is that a lot of these guys that are up in the WWE locker rooms right now, what they're thinking is that they've already either done their time in the independent circuit or they've done their time over in NXT, and that was their learning tree. That was the time for them to learn. So now they know everything.
I think they do.
And it's okay for them to just sit back and play whatever, And I do have to put out there, for those people that saw like card games being played in the back and stuff like that back in the day, yes, definitely there was. And sure, maybe you can call those the video games of the day back then while they were sitting around a table playing cards. But do you know usually what they were talking about?
The match.
Was either the match or the match that just happened that they went through, or talking about experiences that have happened, and it was still a teaching tree and learning opportunity. Unfortunately, with video games, you sit there with your headphones on in front of the screen, and not that that's a bad thing, because for some people, that's a very good release for them to be able to calm themselves and be ready for things, definitely. But, I mean, we still have to have that learning going on, and not just I know it all. It's fine.
Yep. One thing that I've always said, even outside of the context of professional wrestling, being any profession that any of our listeners or us or our viewers are in, there's, no matter what business that you're in or what job that you have, nobody knows it all. There's always going to be somebody that knows more than you that you can learn from and gain experience from. That's just the way it is.
Oh, yeah, definitely there is.
And the world of professional wrestling is no exception there. You're always going to be able to learn from somebody that knows more than you. And there's always going to be somebody that knows more than you.
Oh, yeah, there is.
Yeah. All right, man, let us move away from that to some very significant breaking news. All right, Karl, we're talking some breaking news, and this is a big one. This is something that I didn't see coming. I don't know if you saw this coming or if anybody else saw this coming, but the WWE Network in the United States is going to be exclusive to NBC's streaming service, the Peacock streaming service. This is out of nowhere. Like I said, I did not see this coming at all.
You know what? I really didn't either. And I mean, what a better platform for it to go onto, though, right? I mean, WWE, Vince McMahon. I mean, Vince McMahon wants to show off his feathers, just like the peacock, right? So perfect opportunity for this to happen. Although, like you mentioned, we do have to stress that it is only for the WWE Network in the United States of America right now. Not Canada, not Mexico, not Germany, not Russia, not anywhere else, not Europe, not Asia, not Australia, nowhere else. Only in the United States. What does this mean for the network and those that subscribe to the network in the United States? Really, we don't know right now, but my speculation is that they're going to transfer everyone over to Peacock. Considering that over on the Peacock network, it's only going to be $4.99 instead of $9.99 like it usually is. Now, I don't know if you've researched this, but I'm only assuming here, and yes, I know that when you assume, I make an ass out of you and me. I get it.
That's all right.
I know, right? But I can only assume right now that you're going to put a price on the Peacock, and then the $4.99 is going to be an additional charge for the WWE Network. So you're going to spend $15, $20, whatever, for your Peacock. Unless you have a VPN. Yeah. That's right, Ryan. Yeah. And then it's going to be a $4.99 charge for you to have access to the WWE Network on the Peacock streaming site. I don't know. What do you think about that, Joe? That's kind of where I'm thinking things are going to be going and happening. But what's your take on this?
My mind is more going towards what's going to happen outside of the United States. What's going to happen with the network in Canada? What's going to happen with our friends over in the UK who tend to kind of get really screwed on this kind of stuff, given the way that their television networks and stuff work there? That's what I'm thinking. I'm like, because I mean, this is not probably just going to be a thing in the US. I mean, this has got to be something in the works for other areas. I mean, I don't see it being a thing with NBC here in Canada because NBC is an American company and they don't really have an affiliate at all here in Canada. So it would have to be some other avenue there. I'm really curious to see how this kind of goes. And what has me wondering and intrigued as well, was this NBC reaching out to WWE to do this deal, or was it the other way around? Was this WWE looking to sell to NBC and Peacock here? And that's what has me intrigued. I have a feeling, Karl, and I may be incorrect, or maybe you feel differently. I have a feeling that this was WWE reaching out to NBC to get some more money.
I was reading something. I believe I was reading or I was listening to something. It might have been something from Sportskeeda. Yeah, we plug Sportskeeda now because, well, they're just great over there.
Yep.
I think I was listening to something from Sportskeeda where they said that within the first 6 months, Peacock gained something like 14 or 18 million.
Yep.
Million that signed up.
Yep.
Whereas the WWE Network in the United States, there was only like 1.2 million, something along those lines.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I could definitely see that the WWE reaching out to Peacock going, hey, going back again here to the whole video game thing, they want to learn.
Yeah.
This is a learning tree for them. And Peacock may have said, we're not going to teach you a damn thing, But you want to put your stuff on our network? We can make that happen for you, right? So now we can include you in with those 14 million that have subscribed in that first 6 months, as opposed to your piddly ass 1 or 1.2 million that subscribe to your own network, right? Which is going to open up a lot more for the WWE network then, especially if you've got 13 million that haven't seen this network that are going to maybe be intrigued and sign up for a month or two. So I mean, we're going to see some numbers really fluctuating over this next, probably 6 to 8 months, I would say. John, thank you. I really appreciate that. I mean, most of the time I just talk circles out of my ass. No, I'm kidding. I do a little bit of research. I do try. But sometimes, I mean, it's just kind of how my mind goes. From somebody who worked inside of that ring, somebody who has really gone and attempted to try to run professional wrestling companies as well, and who knows, maybe I can get something else going here in my hometown again at some point. I think it would be fantastic to be able to do that, but having just that little bit of knowledge really gets your mind going and really gets your mind thinking, especially when it comes to stuff like this, right? And the whole numbers of 14 million to 1 million. So yeah, what else you got on that, Joe?
My only other thing on this here, Karl, before we move on, is I gotta wonder, really gotta wonder, is what does Fox think about this deal?
Interesting,
right? What is Fox thinking right now?
Yeah,
right. This couldn't be a good thing. It could end up being a good thing because these companies are gonna maybe want to fight for the product and whatnot. But
exactly.
But yeah, it's interesting because I mean, Fox and NBC have been rivals for a long time. It's not like they're the same company, So it's
that's right. And I mean, I think that we definitely could possibly see where Fox starts to kind of tell the WWE, hey, we need our logo put onto things bigger, brighter, and more shiny when it comes to your product that's being shown on our screens, and that when it goes to the WWE network, that it needs to be included in there as well. You know what I'm saying? So now Fox is going to kind of get their hands a little bit in there, and then the Fox name is going to be shown on NBC via the WWE network, which, who knows? Who knows?
Yep. We shall see, and time will tell, and once we find out more, we'll definitely be talking about it. All right, man, let us get to our Match of the Week segment. All right, man. I think as tradition here for Match of the Week, I'm going to let you go first and give your Match of the Week. And because I got an interesting one here that I had to kind of dig through the vaults to kind of find this one. So
mine's going way back too.
Nice.
I mean, I've been watching it. I mean, we're talking Royal Rumble season right now, right? And I mean, I still have a little bit of the WWE network. I'm glad I reread that. John says I am not getting Peacock. Okay.
I read that twice.
Right? I had to read that twice, and I'm glad I did.
Thank you for that, John.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, Peacock is another streaming service for those that don't know, right? It's a streaming service offered by NBC. So if you want NBC programming, you get Peacock. That's pretty much the way that it is. Yeah. My match of the week, I'm going back quite a ways. I'm going back to 1988, the inaugural Royal Rumble.
Hell yeah.
I've been a fan of Hacksaw Jim Duggan. And for those of you that don't know, spoiler alert, 40 years later, Hacksaw Jim Duggan won the inaugural Royal Rumble. 20 competitors that were in there, and I mean, it was fantastic. We're talking, names like Butch Reed, Tito Santana, Bret Hart was there, Jake the Snake Roberts, Harley Race, Danny Davis, Don Morocco, Hillbilly Jim, Dino Bravo, The Ultimate Warrior as well was included. One Man Gang, Junkyard Dog. Like these are classic names coming out of there, and for Hacksaw Jim Duggan to go through and eliminate One Man Gang at the end, just with the simple rope pull down, was completely fantastic. It was an amazing sight to see 20 guys getting into that ring, one at a time, different entrants coming in, kind of how the Royal Rumble is happening now. It wasn't everybody all in the ring at once. It was something different than a Battle Royal that really made things interesting. And I've always been a fan of that in that inaugural Royal Rumble and the 92 Royal Rumble. Those are by far my two favorite Royal Rumbles, and I just had to go back and watch it, so I did.
Yep. Very cool. I mean, there was no other way that Hacksaw was going to get old gang out of that ring other than that technique. And that was fantastic because that was essentially done at a house show. And if I'm not mistaken, when they actually put the graph up on the screen, when they said Royal Rumble, I think they actually spelled Royal with an E, if I'm not mistaken. It was like Royale Rumble almost, if I'm not mistaken. And
I don't believe so. I believe that it was just the ROYAL.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it also took place not too far from where I'm located in Cops Coliseum in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. So
that's
the very
exactly
first...
what I was going to make sure was mentioned. Yeah.
Yep. Right. Essentially on my doorstep here. The very first Royal Rumble, one of my favorite gimmick matches in WWE, and fantastic. And just on a brief side too, I think one essentially kind of a Royal Rumble match. I think it really kind of goes untalked about and unmentioned, of course, from WrestleMania 17, that gimmick battle royal, which was kind of similar. I think that's one that I think a lot of people tend to kind of crap and shit on, but I thoroughly enjoyed that, and it was such a nice nostalgic trip to go down and to have the Iron Sheik of all people win that. Just to me,
right.
it was fantastic, and it just takes you back to at least to my in your childhood. So it it was cool to watch. I might even go watch it after we're done recording here today.
So now I'm interested. You said nostalgia here. Go ahead. I'm going to sit back. Go ahead. I want to hear this.
Not going back anywhere near as you are, but this is one, and through the power of the internet and YouTube, this is definitely available for you guys to watch. This is coming from Ring of Honor Wrestling, coming from 2016. The Road to Best in the World, the third night of this tour. We're talking about Adam Cole versus Lio Rush. This is a match that you guys need to go and find and watch it. It is absolutely fantastic. I don't care if you're a fan of Lio Rush, if you think he's an asshole, or if you think he's a dick, or whatever you want to call him. Just go and watch this match. I mean, the dude is absolutely fantastic in the ring. And with Adam Cole, it was absolutely fantastic. These two guys, I mean, they stole the show. And absolutely fantastic. Just you need to go and watch it. I may even include it in the show notes, a link for you guys to go check it out because damn, it is worth what it was. Really at the height of Bullet Club's popularity, kind of. It was kind of in the middle or near the beginning of their popularity in Ring of Honor, and just absolutely fantastic stuff there. Absolutely fantastic. And it was interesting with that too, is he saw Adam Page there, and he hadn't quite developed into that Hangman character. He was just kind of on the verge of breaking it in. It was interesting to see, and the Young Bucks, of course, were there as well, and really interesting stuff there. I mean, just absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, it definitely is. And, 92 and 98.
Nice.
Very interesting.
Cool. Very cool. All right, man, let us take another brief break here, and let's hear from our friends over at OVW, and then we're going to come back and talk our Showstopper segment.
Hi, my name is Barry Radcliffe. You might recognize me from such films as The Longest Ride or Dead 2. Now, as a successful actor, I have 2 planes, a supermodel wife, countless exotic cars, and a ton of cash. You might think it couldn't get any better than this, but you'd be wrong. For only $4.99, you can get OVWWrestlingNetwork.com. That's OVWWrestlingNetwork.com for only $4.99. Now, will your life be as good as this? No. Will it be better? Yes, and I guarantee that. That's not valid anywhere. OVWWrestlingNetwork.com is only $4.99. Tomorrow's yesterday is today. Prices so low, they're insane. Want more bang for your buck? Well, so do I at OVWWrestlingNetwork.com. It's only $4.99 a month. In between excitement, me too. OVWWrestlingNetwork.com is only $4.99 a month. You get that incredible value. She cost me $17 million and I loved it. Want a real value? OVWWrestlingNetwork.com. It's only $4.99. That's a price so low. Well, it's insane.
So there you go, word from our friends over at OVW. They don't pay us a dime for that promotion, but I mean, I love that company so much, and I'd love to support them. And make sure you do the same, and go over to and visit them over on YouTube. Weekly content available to watch there. it's free. Go watch it.
Yeah, definitely for OVW weekly shows. Yeah, it's over on their YouTube channel. But you want to see their good stuff. Not that this stuff isn't good, because this stuff right now is fantastic as well. But you want to see their past stuff, you need to go and get the OVW network. And what is it, $5 a month? Like that's pretty cheap to be able to get some good quality professional wrestling.
Yes, absolutely. All right, man, let us get to our Showstopper segment for this week. All right, so for this week, for our Showstopper segment, we have a bit of an interesting one here. I'll pull up the graphic, and this doesn't... looking for a graphic for this, I couldn't really find the best thing in the world, but this works. And I mean, just ignore the AEW. Too many three-letter things I'm trying to go through here. MLW, Never Say Never. Just forget the MLW for now, and then Never Say Never. That's our Showstopper segment for this week. Is talking about a phrase that we've used so many times on this podcast here, Karl, of never saying never in the professional wrestling business. And this almost kind of ties back into our conversation about Mr. Jon Moxley or Dean Ambrose in the WWE context there, is that in professional wrestling, you really never can say never, right?
It's very true. Very, very true. I mean, look at Edge.
Perfect example. Perfect
One
example.
of the hugest pops that we have seen coming out of somebody who made a surprise return because, well, never say never. Unfortunately, he's kind of had a couple of setbacks that have happened, and we're not seeing him very much on television or programming lately. But again, it's just one of those never say never. And I mean, like, you get like, okay, so when people think professional wrestling, they say Hulk Hogan. Mm-hmm. As much as Joe is a hater of Hulk Hogan, he's the first name that people think of, right?
Can't dispute that.
John Cena and Hulk Hogan; those are the two names that people say. Hulk Hogan has always said throughout everything that he has done, never say never, because that's the way it is. It definitely is true. Never say never in this industry, in this business, because you never know what's going to happen. You never know who's going to show up, and you never know when it's going to happen. So, yeah, it's very, very important in the context of professional wrestling.
Yep, and to even tie that into the upcoming Royal Rumble this year, I mean, that saying was kind of, doesn't really epitomize the Royal Rumble, but I mean, you never know who can kind of show up, and you never see never in that either. Like this scenario that I'm pitched out earlier, I think is a very cool one. Marty showing up, and Finn Balor and Adam Cole they're in the ring at the same time. He could show up. Another really cool one that I'd like to see. Might be a bit of a stretch for one person, but for the other two, it wouldn't be. If Edge makes it into the Royal Rumble this year, his old buddy Gangrel is still out there working on the scene. They could definitely bring him in. And then to finish up the trio, if you could talk Christian into getting into the Royal Rumble and have a brief Brood reunion, dude, I would pop so hard for that. That would be absolutely fantastic, especially if they could break the music down, if they could use the music as well.
Right? Definitely. If they could use that music, oh my goodness. So, like that, that would be amazing.
And then with the Never Say Never too, going back to John Cena. Now, I forget exactly what year of Royal Rumble it was, but I mean when he came back so quickly from injury to make it into that Royal Rumble at Madison Square Garden. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of people that told him, hey, you're not going to be able to come back for a year or longer. Cena was like, no, screw you guys. I'm going to work my ass off and make this happen. And
right.
I mean, and this business is full of these kind of never say moments of where, I guess these guys get told never, and they say, no, never say never. We're going to make this happen.
Exactly.
Jericho showing up in New Japan Pro Wrestling, I never would have really saw that coming. It sets up potentially some really kind of cool moments, especially now with a lot of these companies kind of working together and crossing over. Never say never is going to be a phrase that we might end up using. We might end up using even more often here. Another comment from our friend John.
Take that off of the screen here. Okay. So John, message me. Yep. Either through the show page or just message me personally. I will let you know that unfortunately, my first ex-wife destroyed absolutely everything that I had. There is only one piece that is out there and still available that a friend had recorded on a very crappy cell phone, but I have it available on a private YouTube channel. And private YouTube, it's set to private, but I will definitely do what I can to get that to you. I definitely will will do that. And it sucks because, yeah, like that's the only one piece of actual video that I have left of me actually working inside of the ring. But if you just Google my name, Karl Karufel, there's content that's out there. It's photos, it's news articles that have been done and stuff like that. So yeah, I mean the name is actually out there. Karl Karufel, KarlKarufel. That is available. Just Google my name and some things will show up there.
Yeah, for sure. All right, man. Well, I guess that about kind of wraps it up here for this week. And anything that you want to plug or get out there before we head out today?
We just want to make sure that everybody, if you're not following us, make sure that you do. You can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter by searching at TB Talk Pod. That's where we can be found. And if you're into workout supplements, whether it be super greens, whether it be protein powder, any type of supplement that's needed, go and check out our friends over at Phoenix. That's fnxfit.com. Go over there and you can use a promo code TBTalkPod, and that's going to get you 15% off your entire order. I have used their super greens, and I absolutely love their super greens. So I need to order some more, actually. I definitely do. But go and check out our friends at fnxfit.com. We don't want to forget about Collar and Elbow brand either. We've already talked about them, but again, anything at Collar and Elbow brand, promo code JK Podcast is going to get you 10% off your entire purchase, whether it's new or clearance merchandise. And lastly, big thank you to StreamYard for giving us this platform to be able to bring the video casts to everyone. Instead of just having them as audio podcasts, we're doing video casts now and have been for a while, and it's absolutely fantastic. And without StreamYard, I mean, there are other companies that are available, but StreamYard has been fantastic with us. So huge shout out to StreamYard for giving us this platform to be able to use.
Yep, absolutely. The only other thing that I want to get out there before we head out this week, of course, to give you a sneak peek of what we have coming up on Turnbuckle Rewind on Thursday. We're going to be going to New Japan Pro Wrestling to Wrestle Kingdom 10 to talk about Shinsuke Nakamura versus AJ Styles. Dude, I can't wait to talk about that match. That is... Right. Wow. I don't even know how to put it into words yet. So I gotta go. I gotta watch it a few times and then can't wait to talk about it and for you guys to hear that episode. It's going to be fantastic. That's right. All right, man. That wraps up here for this week, and we'll see you guys on the next one.
It's me. It's an honor to be the beat. As you can tell in the background, we are out celebrating. That is what we do here at hittingthemarks.com. And I invite everyone to continue to tune in to Turnbuckle Talk, but check out all our other shows. Yes, you can find that all at hittingthemarks.com.
Run.